G'day ladies and gents, and welcome to Dreadnought with Mags. For those of you who are unaware to what Dreadnought is a new game under development by Yager Developments and published by Greybox. It is a 5 versus 5 arena combat game in which you take control of massive starships and beat the living crap out of one another over planets and in space. Today I'm going to just be showing a little bit of gameplay. I'm still learning all the intricacies of the game, although I will go through some of the stuff that I do know over the course of the video. And we are going to be taking out this monstrosity. This is the Morningstar class Dreadnought. God, I love the look of this thing. It just screams Eve Caldari meets Warhammer 40k. It's fantastic. So anyways, this is just the setup screen that you get at the very start of a battle while you're getting ready to warp into the combat zone. You can select your ships here, work out your fleet composition, and have a quick discussion with the rest of your teammates that you are match made with in order to, work out what your strat's going to be. Here, well, we don't really do a huge amount of talking, but we do have a couple of healing ships. We've got a sniper, and I am taking one of the biggest dreadnoughts available sort of early on in the game. In fact, the Morningstar is actually a premium that you get for purchasing early access to the beta. So how does this work? Well, there's 5 classes of ships in Dreadnought. First up, you've got your corvettes. These are extremely fast, extremely nimble, are often equipped with cloaking devices, have anywhere between moderate to heavy firepower, but practically no armor. They're your maneuvering ships of the battle. And you're actually going to see quite a number of these in this battle, but not on my team. We'll be having to deal with them. The enemy team is mostly composed of corvette class. Next up you have your artillery cruiser. Your artillery cruisers are effectively the sniper ships of the game. They have a massive integrated main gun that does incredible amounts of damage, but they sacrifice almost all of their armor to do it. Some of them can be fairly mobile, however, and they do carry secondary weapons for defense, but the main gun delivering damage from long range is really the core of this ship class. Third up we have the tactical cruisers. Now you can see 2 examples of these to the left and right hand side of my Dreadnought right here. These are your healing ships and buffing ships of the game. They repair your shields, they recharge your energy in some cases, but their primary job is to repair your armor when you're taking insane amounts of damage to keep you running. Now again, these are equipped with weaponry. There is no unarmed ships in Dreadnought, but their armor is comparatively lighter to other classes. They are a support ship. Your 4th class is the Destroyer. These are relatively mobile, relatively well armoured, and carry a lot of firepower. They're basically your main backbone of your Dreadnought fleet in the game. They're a good all-round ship to take out. And last but not least, we have what I'm using, the actual Dreadnought. The Dreadnought class, as you can see on screen, is not incredibly mobile, and to use it effectively you really need to have a tactical cruiser somewhere nearby to constantly refresh your armor and repair you on the fly. In this case I'm particularly lucky because I have 2, and that means I can tank phenomenal amounts of damage. Now these things aren't just tanks, they're incredibly slow with massive amounts of armor, but they also carry extremely powerful weaponry, to the point where when you've got one on the battlefield, the enemy team can't afford to just ignore you. You are too dangerous. However, as you can see, with appropriate support, it can require the entire effort of an enemy team to crack one of these things open. Now I'm not moving a huge amount in this battle, and this is because we really can't afford to. A common tactic in the game at the moment seems to be deploy high speed, high damage corvettes and just rip apart enemy fleets. Unfortunately, the enemy fleet has run into a position in this case where they can't do that. I have 2 tactical cruisers healing me and healing one another and healing any other ships that are nearby. If they get too close to the tactical cruisers, I can devastate them with my firepower, but they can't kill me without getting close to the tactical cruisers. Now in this particular game mode, the teams shoot for a maximum number of kills. So first to get X number of kills wins the match. I believe the kill count is actually 20. There's actually a second game mode where it's 1 life. You deploy a ship into battle and that's all you've got. Last team standing wins. Now if you're wondering about the massive amount of pixelization that you've just seen then, well, that's the first time I had ever actually seen this ability used. The corvettes just deployed basically an EMP against us and shut down our ability to see one another. The tactical cruisers could heal themselves, but they couldn't target me to heal me, and they were trying to make a crack at my ship. So in an emergency I just hit my F2 key, which activates a shield on my ship. The shield absorbed the damage while the EMP had shut down my sensors and I was unable to attack. It was actually a really good tactic, but I think the problem was that the enemy team focused me rather than focusing the tactical cruisers. If they'd taken those out, the combined firepower of that many corvettes all at once, even my Dreadnought would have cracked open and died. So this is effectively turtling in Dreadnought, but there's not much else we can do. This fleet is not fast enough to be able to keep up with their corvettes. If we try and move, we'll move out of position to one another due to the different speeds between ships, and we'll get pulled apart. Now we will begin to move out in a moment, but that is because the enemy team changes tactics and they bring out a Dreadnought of their own. Now at this point I'm trying to get my flak guns, which are short range, extremely high damage weapons attached to the ship, onto this corvette. It's just close enough for me to clip it, but not quite close enough for me to really unleash. So I've gone back to the plasmas, and I'm going to do some significant damage here, and he's just going to bail out and drop back out of cover. It's actually one of the things I really like. You can use the environment for cover extremely well. In fact, it's a requirement for all of your tactics, and the environments are really nicely designed. They don't appear to be overly large, but you're not exactly flying a starfighter around either. You're commanding a capital ship through these areas. Now this is obviously a planetary system we're engaging on. I think we're at one of the moons of Jupiter at the moment. There is also, you can also have fights in the rings of Saturn, and there are other locations all around the solar system. This entire game takes place inside of our solar system. And at this point the enemy team have started to switch over. They're starting to deploy tactical cruisers, destroyers, and there is a Dreadnought lurking around, but it hasn't shown up just yet. And where turtling in the center of the map was the right tactic for before, it's going to leave us vulnerable, so we are going to begin moving off in just a moment. But while we're waiting to roll out, let's talk the real selling point of Dreadnought: customization. Now at the moment I am piloting a hero ship. The hero ships, there is 4 of them, one for each class. They are basically the ships of heroes of the war that led to the current situation in Solar System. There is a whole bunch of fluff which I haven't read through all of yet. I may cover it in another day. But anyways, the hero ships themselves, or the premium ships, can't be customized. However, everything else that you purchase in the game using the in-game credits can be customized. So, how far does this customization go? Well, each ship hull is built around a primary weapon system, whether it be plasma cannons, whatever. There'll be a certain weapon system that's built around. These primary weapon systems cannot be changed. However, the secondary weapon system for the ship, in the case of the Morningstar, the primary weapon system would be the plasma cannons, the secondary weapon system would be the flak cannons. In a normal ship, the flak cannons could be completely exchanged. So you can change those over. Now at the top of the screen you see 4 options. These are, one's a tractor beam, one is flechetti missile launchers, one is a warp drive, so on and so forth. All of these can be customized in the ship too, and then you can also take officer briefings, which are basically a selection of 4 options that will either buff or increase bonuses or give situational bonuses to particular aspects of your ship. So it might be 10% damage reduction to armor when your armor is below 50%, or just a general increase in damage of all your weapons by 10%. There's a whole collection of these that you can select. So why there is only a limited selection of hulls available, I believe there are 3 Dreadnought hulls in the game as standard, and then the Morningstar makes up the 4th. So you have 4 Dreadnought hulls total. Morningstar is uncustomizable. This sounds like there isn't a lot of ships in the game that you could encounter, but the Dreadnought that you encounter this match might be completely different to the Dreadnought that you encounter next match. And the same goes for all the other ship classes. The only thing that they will have in common with one another is usually the primary weapon system, which cannot be changed. Everything else could be completely different. Now that's just the ship systems customization, but what about the ship's appearance? Well, that is out there. You can paint the ship a multitude of colours which you'll get access to over time, completely customizing its appearance. You can put custom camouflages on it that will be affected by the paint schemes that you decide to fit. You can attach new shield emblems or massive battering ram styled 40k prows. There's actually one that I really want that's shaped like a giant space kraken. As a KSP player, I want that emblem. So there's actually quite a lot you can do to make your ships in Dreadnought completely your own. But once you go from there, how do you get access to these new hulls? Well, you unlock them as you level up your captain. There is a grind component in here, although it's not as bad as you may think. You start the game having been given 5 hulls that are uncustomizable that you can use as your basic ships to start the game until you start purchasing your own. These ships are, think, War Thunder Reserve ships. Now, from there, you complete your first mission. This will automatically get you level 1 on your first mission. I don't think there is a way you can't hit level 1. Once you do that, you get access to the first set of hulls in the game. The the first 5 real hulls that you can purchase yourself and start customizing and playing with. Now, these hulls never go out of date, regardless of what level you go to. The first 5 hulls you get access to are basically middle-of-the-road hulls. Their speed, maneuverability, and options are all in the center. As you level up higher and get access to the preceding hulls, you get the next set at level 15 and then the following set at level 25, which is max level. They are at the extremes. The level 15 hulls seem to sacrifice armor in favor of speed and maneuverability on pretty much every single ship hull. The level 25 sacrifice a huge amount of speed and maneuverability, but pick up massive amounts of armor. Back to the game here at the moment. I was just engaging in a long-range trading of fire with the enemy Dreadnought. It looks like it's configured for extremely high damage and extremely high tank. I just wasn't being able to crack it, and it was putting out so much damage that my escorts needed to get the hell out of the area. So I just used the warp drive capability to warp my Dreadnought out of the line of fire, so now their Dreadnought has to come and find me again. But back to the ship hulls. None of the ship hulls are actually better than the others. It depends on how you're planning on configuring them and what you're planning on using. For the average player, the starting hull may be the best hull because it's a jack of all trades, master of none. The others are at extremes. If you want a heavy tank ship, you want the level 25 hulls. If you want high speed attackers with a lot of mobility, you want the level 15 hulls. Or at least that's the general rule of the thumb. It looks like the devs are planning on adding additional hulls to the game in the future. It's just, this is going to be what's floating around for the moment. But anyways, we are back to the last moments of the battle. The enemy Dreadnought has moved around the hill region, is engaging me in direct combat. He does have more health. I am almost destroyed here, but I'm being kept alive by one of our tactical cruisers. The second tactical cruiser is starting to give support now as well, and I'm able to punch out a massive amount of firepower from my flak batteries to drop his health down. He's had to drop below the bridge line here, so I can't get a direct line of sight on him. So I quickly start increasing altitude, and we fire in the last shots of the match, and that is the victory. Now, it's worth keeping in mind that we would not have been able to do this, or more to the point, I wouldn't have been able to tank anywhere near that much damage if it wasn't for the 2 fantastic healers that wound up on my team. The sheer volume of damage the enemy team was actually putting out, if we didn't have those tactical cruisers flying around, I would have had to abandon the Dreadnought and probably gone to a cruiser-class hull and start trying to hunt them down and execute them that way. There's no way known I would have been able to maintain the Dreadnought. I would have just got killed continuously. And you can see the Dreadnought isn't a huge killing machine. Because it's so slow, it's fairly easy to evade. I only got 2 kills for that match, but 6 assists across the board. My primary job was, as I said before, sitting there creating a giant wall of armor to just soak as much firepower as I possibly could during the course of this battle, and as a result keep everything alive, because the Dreadnought is too powerful to ignore, but requires a focused effort in order to take down. So anyways, ladies and gents, thank you very much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it, I hope you found it interesting, and let me know in the comments below if you want me to check out more Dreadnought in the future. Until next time, click like if you do, subscribe if you want to see more, fly smart, fly safe, and I'll catch you on the next battlefield.